At Kingsbridge Academy, we strive to educate competent young men who can provide for their families and offer value to their communities. Better boys mean better men. Sadly, most schools are not up to the task. Cell block style of education isn't working. Instead of producing well-integrated self-actualized men, it churns out frat boys who are dependent on amphetamines. Our boys are not alright. They're falling behind in school. Many are disengaged. They increasingly lack curiosity, independent thought, and strong character. This isn't only a problem for boys. Our daughters are going to struggle to find a spouse who isn't checked out, obsessed with video games, or warped by pornography. This really is a cultural revolution that we're experiencing. What was once revered is now reviled, and what should be reviled is increasingly revered. The 7 deadly sins used to be something to confess and repent, but now we celebrate pride, greed, and lust. Getting drunk or using drugs is practically expected. Sex is a sport. The fact of the matter is that we Christians, as much as our neo-pagan countrymen, are decadent. We're dangerously unprepared for what's coming. We need to prepare ourselves. At a time when the culture is unraveling, it is positively immoral to allow ourselves to be soft, cowardly, or weak. Christians have a duty to strengthen themselves, physically, morally, and spiritually, in order to protect their families, communities, and the church. We can start by taking responsibility for the education of our children and grandchildren. At Kingsbridge, we're forming little platoons to take responsibility for our own education rather than just receive schooling. We want to awaken the intellect of young men because the world needs men to be more and do more. By focusing on values such as strength, compassion, forgiveness, and service to others, we provide a more holistic education that prepares students not only for success in their careers, but also for an impactful life rooted in strong moral principles that is ultimately more fulfilling. We understand that the universe is a gift. No matter how much we give away, our own knowledge is never depleted. That's the beauty of the intellect. It reveals abundance. When one of us discovers a new medicine or a way to feed more people, we all benefit. This abundance spreads like wildfire. If we can reach even 10 boys, imagine the impact on our community. These young men learn to see creation as something to be savored and enjoyed, not spoiled and rotten. They offer healing and harmony in God's family, becoming fathers to the fatherless. They cultivate the conditions for society to flourish, knowing its generational work. God sustains them in each moment, reminding them of their humility as they face His eternal power and glory. This leads to a healthy fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom. It might sound like drudgery, but it's not. It's more like a perpetual feast. Our students are the embodiment of hope, and that hope begins to spread like fire from one generation to the next. Our strategy isn't complicated. We surround boys with good books, immerse them in nature, and get out of the way. Kingsbridge blends rigorous academics with strenuous physical activity. Think of it as part classical Christian education, part scouting, and part physical training. It's the personalization of homeschooling in a positive social environment. We don't just read books. We tinker in the shop. We explore wilderness. And through these shared experiences, we are forging a brotherhood founded on loyalty and honor that binds us to one another. We are designing high-quality educational experiences that particularly appeal to boys. In an all-male environment, boys learn to individuate themselves. They are more likely to be open about their emotions, express themselves, and appreciate the arts. They are also more open to learning about respect, especially towards women. Your son's education is important not just for his future, but for the future of his children and their children. We need him to become the kind of father your grandkids deserve, a man who rejects passivity, accepts responsibility, and leads courageously. As Christian parents, we recognize that if we succeed in raising our children to follow Christ, we could be setting them up for a life of hardship, as the world becomes increasingly hostile toward our beliefs. But this coming trial is a gift. It is an opportunity to prove ourselves in our faithfulness to Christ. Let us fight joyfully, not because we hate what is in front of us, but because we love what is behind us. We are not just educating a small group of boys. We are providing an alternative to industrialized schooling. We are exposing the folly of a value-free education. And we are leading a movement away from the consolidation undermining local control of education. We need God-fearing men who exude wisdom, courage, and competence. That's why we need Kingsbridge Academy.